I'm feeling like a brand new me.
Hey, and welcome to the Creek midweek. I'm Josh, and unfortunately, Pastor Tommy is not with us, but I am joined by Jason and Gideon for the 10th grade takeover, where we discuss week 3 of Oceans for Justice and how we respond through worship to what God has done for us. So let's dive right in. Here we go. The Creek, the pod, big week. The 10th grade takeover.
10th grade.
Let's go.
Hey.
I got my boys with me this time. I want to introduce the world to the two of you. These are my people. These are the soldiers that I get to do life with, shoulder to shoulder. Gideon, why don't you introduce yourself to the people?
Hello, everybody. I am Gideon. I am Josh's son. I have been going to the Creek since I was in 7th grade. So let's see, all the way through high school. So 6 years. And then I've been a leader since I was a
Sophomore, right?
sophomore?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been leading the same guys for the past 3, 4, 5 years.
Yeah.
And so I was also one of Jason's guys. He was one of my small group leaders.
Yeah. So that's the crazy thing about this relationship here is you've got Gideon, who's been in the youth group since 6th grade, graduated while he was in youth group, serving, and it's been many, many years now, serving with the same guy. You started with him in the 6th grade. You're the OG with the small group. But then the full circle is Jason was your small group leader. Jason, why don't you introduce yourself, talk about how long you've been at the Creek, your role, all that.
What's up? I'm Jason. I am 30 years old and
Hi, Jason. Hi, Jason.
plus a few years.
Yeah.
I started going here when the church opened. The day they opened, they had their we drove by and saw their big grand opening.
Wow.
And it was weird how God worked. We had just bought a farm south of town, and my wife and I were praying that we would find a church closer than we were going up in Denver.
Yeah.
So it was an hour drive each way.
Good grief.
Our kids hated us.
Yeah.
So literally, as we're driving down the highway, we see this church, and it says grand opening. It said, hey, let's try it out. And we started serving almost immediately.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's been awesome ever since.
A lot of years. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, and you got to, I mean, you and I joke all the time. You like basically helped raise Gideon because he was so much serving and then being his small group leader. What have you seen in the students? I mean, you've been around for a long time. What are you seeing in the growth in the students and their time, and how are you seeing things evolve in the church for the high school students?
Yeah. I mean, most of the kids, I think they really want to be here. I don't think that it doesn't feel like they're forced to be here.
Right.
They're here because they want to learn more. And that's so cool. And I can speak specifically about Gideon. That's one thing I liked about Gideon is he stood out, and I was like, I started as his leader when he was a freshman. And then I found out, I was like, wait a minute, you've been serving since you were you've been volunteering for 3 years before that.
Yeah.
Which was mind blowing to me because kids at that age are selfish. They don't want to be here helping other kids. So yeah, that really stood out about Gideon.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's so cool. And then you've been with the group that we lead now. So you started with them in the 6th grade.
Yep.
I jumped in with you in 7th grade, and then now Jason's jumped in with us here as they'd been in high school. Dream team, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got the 10th grade boys. We're helping walk through them, build their faith. What have you seen? So they're in 10th grade now. We're just wrapping up their 10th grade year. What have you seen from 6th grade to now that has been like the biggest?
Where do I start with that question? In 6th grade, obviously, and most of middle school, they start out as complete savages, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
You can't get a good question in. We had a really large group to begin with, like consistently almost 20 plus guys. And we would be done with the night, and it was like, how did we make it through that?
Yeah.
Then as time has gone on and they've gotten into high school and up to the point where they're at now, where they're not only are we able to get through 1 or 2 questions, we're able to get through ones that either we'll come up with or they'll come up with questions.
Yeah.
Ask us, and then they'll even answer each other's questions, which is really cool to see. They're having small groups at the same level as like at a upperclassman level.
Right.
Like they're not, it's fun and they do make jokes and they have their time, but also they know when and what we're discussing.
Yeah.
And when to ask questions, when to give answers, and still when to maybe throw a joke in or something.
And that, I think that comes from the time spent there, the time invested. They feel very safe. They feel like they can trust their leaders, that we're following Jesus, that we're putting the time into them, and that they can be vulnerable, they can be funny, they know when to lock in, like all these different parts. But yeah, thank you for helping, like we talked about, helping raise Gideon, and then thank you for helping raise these boys, because they, going from 6th grade to 10th grade now and having, seen that growth and that development doesn't happen by accident. So the 10th grade takeover is the result of Pastor Tommy being out this week.
Where did he go?
When he leaves me in charge, this is what we do. We get the dudes together. We have a good time. Tonight we had a message. It was week 3 of Oceans of Justice, and it was the final, putting the capstone on this thing, where we had Pastor Tommy week 1 talk about, hey, we need to come to grips with our sins and really realize that we are sinners. And then Lexi last week spoke on the judgment of all of that, the going through the process of having God the Father as the judge, Satan as our accuser, Jesus is our defender. As we step forward to be sentenced, before the gavel falls, Jesus walks up and says, I'll take their sentencing. This week we talked about then how we should respond, right? How we then take that moment in time and say, we worship because of what Jesus did, not to earn what Jesus did, right? And so the main thought for this week was that Jesus didn't die for a church service. He died for a church that serves. Gideon, we'll start with you. What was your big takeaway from tonight, knowing that you've been through the creek, that you've seen a lot of messages, that you serve as one of the leaders? What did you take away from this message? What are you going to take away for this next week?
Well, there were a couple things. One of the first things that came to my mind was I don't know the exact verse. I need to get better at this. But it was where Jesus says, like, if you are having a feast and a rich man comes to your house and you offer him the best seat, give him the best wine, the best food, all that stuff, and then a poor man comes into your house, and you say, no, you stay over here with these people, this food, whatever, this setup. That's not justice. That's not, Jesus calls us to instead treat both the rich man and the poor man equally, saying, come sit over here, there's a free spot. Everybody has the best wine, everybody will have the best food, because you are guests in my house, and this is a house that serves the Lord. Enjoy all the same blessings that I have been given.
Right.
And so that was the first one. And then the other one was, like, there are people, it's harder with some than with others. I've seen this at work or at school or whatever. There's people that you click with and you're like, this will be good.
Oh yeah.
Like there's some guys who you want to take golfing, or go hang out with after work or whatever. And then there are some people who you don't, it's harder to treat those people the same, but we are still called to live justly and to treat them as such.
Absolutely. And that's treating people with those fair scales, right? Where that balance is out there, and it doesn't matter total cheese alert. I'm just going to say it up front. But I heard one time, there's the rich man, the poor man, but everybody's a human, right? And there's just understanding that whatever our socioeconomic position, wherever we land monetarily, if we're poor or rich, whatever, our position politically, or whatever it might be, we just have to treat everyone the same, because they're guests in the house, and everything that we have belongs to the Lord anyways. So we're just stewarding it. We're just managing it, right? So he wants us to treat everybody fairly, because, like, I gave you that anyways. It's mine. You're just managing it for me. And so you're supposed to treat everyone fairly, so that they see me through you and can find that kingdom. I like that. That's a great feedback. Jason, what about you? So different phase of life, right? Different experiences. You listen to a message like that. You've seen, you've been here basically since the beginning, like you said. You've seen a lot of go through. What was your big takeaway? What are you going to take into this next week?
Yeah. So, I mean, a Bible verse I love, and I feel like this church just gets it right, is Matthew 28:18-20. The last command that Jesus said to his disciples is, first, baptize people. You want to know our church is getting it right? They're literally busting at the seams with baptisms. They don't have enough time to do all the baptisms that are happening. I mean, one, that's a good sign. And two, go out and make disciples. It wasn't like Jesus saying, hey, if you guys have time, it'd be cool, if there's time on Sunday for you to go to make disciples. He said, go tell everyone what you've seen me do.
Yeah.
And that was a commandment to his disciples. So he said, go do that. And it's like, our church is literally getting that. I've been around, I've been all over the world. I've seen a lot of churches. This one's doing it better than all of them.
Yeah.
It's not just, hey, look how big we're getting.
Yeah.
There's almost as many people serving as there are attending, and new people coming in the door. The first thing they want to do is like, hey, I feel like I can help out. Where can I help out? Where is God calling me? So I don't know. I mean, for me, I see a healthy church because I just look around and it's like everybody just wants to get involved.
Yeah.
Because it's like when you see God do real things, it's hard to just stay on the sidelines and be like, I mean, that was cool, but I'm still going to just like stay back here and just watch. It's like, no, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah. It's amazing. Cause what you're talking about is what Amos was talking about, in this verse 21, Amos 5:21-24 was where we were at. And basically God is giving a rebuke to the nation of Israel, right? The God people of the time, saying you do all the right things. You raise your hands, you pray, you run through all the church service stuff, but yet I know your hearts, and you're going out and you're treating people poorly. You're taking advantage of the vulnerable, people who are poor, who can't do for themselves. You're actually tipping the scale the wrong way. You're doing all of these, violating all of these things. So because it doesn't matter. Like I called you up for more. It doesn't matter that you raise your hands. It doesn't matter that you do all these things. You have to treat people the same and treat people the way that I would treat them. And that's what you're talking about. We can go out and do baptisms. We can do all these things. We can do all these events or these actions or take, behaviors. But if inside of our heart we're treating people poorly, we're not being just. That's where the oceans of justice came from, right? We're not being just. We're not treating people fairly or with righteousness. Then what does it matter? In this series, let's go ahead and look at all three of them. What was the thing that stood out to you the most then from all 3 weeks? Now that you see the whole picture, what's something that has changed your walk and your time with the Lord?
No offense.
Yeah, same.
I mean, you're my boy, and I should say yours was the best.
That's all.
But dude, your daughter, blew my mind last week. I mean, she really did. When she presented her sermon from we're in a courtroom, I've never heard or seen any. I mean, I've heard thousands of sermons. And I listened to them all week, and for her to be a senior in high school and deliver a message like that, I could verbatim repeat her entire sermon.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like locked in the entire time, but for, when she said what we deserve is hell.
Yeah.
And because Jesus steps in right before God issues the verdict and says, Jesus takes our punishment. I mean, that just blew my mind. And I'm like, man, it is so cool to be a Christian.
Yeah.
And to have a God that's like, we deserve hell, but he sent his perfect son for us. And the way she delivered that message, I was like,
yeah,
that was awesome.
That's awesome.
You should be proud of her.
I am. Yes, yeah. It's come up. Same question to you. Oceans of Justice, just really awesome step 1, 2, 3 that we walked through. What was your biggest takeaway? What is something that you're going to carry with you from these series?
Well, the whole series started with the Pastor Tommy opened up, and basically he had all these woes to all these things in the world, but then he threw in an 8th woe to the creek, which I think hit pretty heavy.
Yeah.
So it started out with, okay, we need to take a look, not at the world, but at ourselves and see what's going on here. We can blame the world for all the problems and think that we're okay just because we come to church and that we're Christians and everything. However, just because what's been said this whole series, we can raise our hands on Sunday, but then we're using those same hands to sin on Monday. It's not good.
Yeah.
So then to Lexi's week was, well, now we know that we're guilty. We stand before God, before the judge. He's about to give his verdict.
Yeah.
And Jesus steps in and says, hold on now. Hold on. They're good. They're washed in my blood.
Mm-hmm.
But now, which is what you were saying this week, now we have been given we have been given this gift, but also we have been given this responsibility to now go out and serve others and to live justly and fairly throughout the week, and not just go back to what we were doing before Jesus gave us the gift of just judging others, but rather to serve others.
Yeah. That's awesome. Because our worship is a response to that gift, right? We're not checking boxes. It's not something that we have to do, we're required to do, because we're earning that space back. There's nothing that we can do to earn that. It all comes down to the fact that we've been given this free gift. And as a result, the way that we respond in worship, to your point, after all is said and done, we do it out of love and we do it out of gratitude because of what he did for us in that courtroom, taking that sentence on us.
And we still have Legacy Night and all that stuff, but with this being the last week, it was a good kind of like, go out this summer. And we do still have our summer services, but as a last regular service, it was good to close out on a go out, and here's what you guys should do this summer. We look forward to seeing you guys next year for our regular services.
Spoken like a true small group leader who has been around for more than a minute.
Boys, once or twice.
Thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, hitting it up, doing the 10th grade takeover. We just, every time is gone, we'll just have to sneak you all in. This was great. This was so fun.
I will come back down from college, from Golden, to do this.
Here we go. I love it. Thank you, guys. Well, that's it for us here at the Creek midweek. Students, we cannot wait to see you back here again. But before we go, a blessing. May those oceans of justice flood your week as you go out and you treat everyone with the same justice, the same fairness, the same love, and the same righteousness that Jesus showed us. After spending time with Jesus and looking over the last 3 weeks, may our worship be a response to what he did for us. Like we saw in the courtroom where Jesus stepped in for us, may we respond to others until it is in Castle Rock as it is in heaven. Amen. We look forward to seeing you next week.
I'm feeling